It's February 17th, 2024. Um, I'm in this with the O&E on the back. And then it's White House on the back of that. Within this monetary system, this is the U.S. Treasury. Um, so that's the system, but inside the United States of America, that's where my feet are. Um, I put up this morning, first of all, the sunlight, that's what the sunlight outside looks like. But there is this two things medically at the moment. Um, there's just this weird taste on the tongue, um, and just sudden onset of um, body density change. So I went to the physical therapist this morning, and then there's this piece on Star Trek. There's holding thought, and if thought is not like, I mean, again, if I think of if and only if the human interaction with the environment, if there was some kind of like Bluetooth signal that thought is derived from, and if and only if some form of, I don't know, radio wave, or I don't know the words because I'm not scholared on it. And I'm trying to use pieces that they've put out in the public in order to figure this out. I don't know if the reduction in the ability to hold thought and to really communicate very clearly, like I used to be able to do with like fine-tuned precision. I don't know if it's a biochemical change. I've been watching some of my blood results come back, but I'm in they called it on the other show the other day polyamory. And if that's polygamous in like a statehood or nation, I don't know, like if like, I mean, it goes through your head, like, are you being punished by something outside, like that higher power, that higher denomination, in God we trust? Theoretically, it's possible. I don't know, and I don't have proof for fact. I just know how I feel and how I'm being affected by it. So I put this morning on the Facebook page, there is, when I went on, I think now of cybercrime in the sense that I hear it, it's buzzwords. Um, but when I had gone and I was applying for jobs, one of them said National Guard. I had applied to that, and I went through a form. And as I went through the form, I was taking photos of it because I've had a problem with the internet where I put in applications and they just disappear and like no calls back. So I was just tracking my own journey, any problems that arose. So the contact that came back as the Army National Guard, I made note of it, and then I itemized it, looking for things, because also on my cell phone I have it I don't know how I became a target of, like, it looks like the black market. I mean, it's all dark-skinned models, and I'm like, I don't fit that profile. It's not my preference. Why is every single ad coming through some kind of melanin rich person? Like, I mean, it's, again, not preferential, and it's not my profile. It feels like harassment. It feels like stalking, targeting. It feels like harassment. So I made note of it on my Facebook page, and as it comes up, because it is just like one ad after the next. I don't know if it's a campaign. I don't know what it is. So I made note of it on my and like in the most professional respectable way, not in like a you know, I mean, again, this is like sensitive stuff, so I don't know how to document it and still remain in the professional lines. Like there's no guide for this. So anyhow, so I'm watching this, and for some reason he's wearing black and yellow and he's wearing black and red. And I'm going to keep the volume off because whatever they're discussing doesn't matter. But in a theoretical conversation, um, there's this antiquated on the set of the TV show Star Trek. And this is the episode that's called Alice, Alice. It's a like antiquated starship. And then it has this capability to telepathically link with this gentleman. However that happens, for whatever this conversation is, I'm just going to make note of some of the visual effects that they used, and then how is it relevant in the right now for me. And there's some patterns on here, symbols, shapes, that are not part of my 26 letter alphabet that we use inside the United States of America, which makes it different, but it's just a mention at this point. So it shows the two of them speaking. And again, Army National Guard was black and yellow. I'm just saying, like, when I put that through, it's whatever. So this goes to like, and again, what I'm going through at the moment is something cranial, and it's something like, I think it's the, not cerebellum, it's cerebrum, in the cephalic area. And again, I don't know if it's transmission signal, um, I don't, through atmospheric, or if it's partially biochemical in the sense of I don't know why the tongue is getting numb, and loss of taste. Again, my phosphorus went low for a while. It's back, but weird, strange. I had to go for a blood transfusion like a year and a half ago, out of nowhere. So again, I don't know if it's something that's going through the food cycle. I don't know how to protect myself, and I've been documenting it as I go. But this seems like a really critical conversation, and this is on the episode of Alice. It references Tom and it references Paris. So I'm going to pause this for a second and go to a different episode, which is important for a different piece that then I saw on Stephen Colbert. Like, this is the Star Trek series. Then Stephen Colbert puts up there, he did like an outer space news update on what's called the Late Late Show. And he was talking about the sun and 5 exoplanets that were toddler stars. So I know that's important. I don't have names of toddler stars. I heard it in the background and in my way of like kind of sort of but not really. I'm just following along as best that I can with the sequence of events of what's going on and what I'm cataloging. So I'm just going to pause this for a second, pull that up. Now, here again, I'm not using their words. I'm just using some of the visual effects with the sound off on this particular episode, which is called One Small Step. And again, no volume. But it references this, whatever that was. And then that's Star Trek. And then I'm going to go to Stephen Colbert and that conversation. So I'm going to pause this for a second. Okay, so now this is more of like a spoof show. They call it the late night show, but it says hyperactive sun news.
News. Astronomers say that NASA's TESS telescope has spotted 6 exoplanets around a so-called misbehaving toddler star, explaining that these juvenile stars can be difficult to keep track of because of their hyperactivity in the form of intense magnetism more prevalent in intense sunspots and heightened solar flares. A toddler star also says it doesn't have to pee until you get on the highway. Then it's like, I have to pee. And you're like, I asked you at home. The star's like, I didn't have to pee then. So you find the filthiest gas station in the solar system. The star doesn't pee then, and then your head explodes, and that's what a supernova is. Next up.
And again, I try to use the language of Star Trek because it seems like it's more professional. But again, I know I'm not of that caliber and I'm not competing with anybody's white privileged education because I know I didn't get one. And then balancing that off with what's the update, especially with this being, I mean, like my eyes feel like I'm getting like the tongue thing, but the like a glaucoma almost, like it, the clarity of looking out of my own eyes, it's not the same. It's not, it's, this feels damaging. Um and so, and it's, again, like I said the other day, it almost feels like being in this bird cage with like the outside light, like just so bright, and not being able to like get away from it and not being able to enjoy it. It's just, it's frustrating at, however. And I'm going to go back to Star Trek because they reference Naomi, this little girl, and her parents, and then this cube of consciousness, I suppose, which it went in 3 different episodes, back to back, 3 nights in a row. So I'm going to pause this for a second and go over to that. So on Star Trek Voyager, it's season 6, and it says the Voyager conspiracy. 7 of 9 begins a new method of data analysis that makes her craft, and then they use some word.
They know my family will be assimilated.
So that was the little girl in this hypothesis.
Ship around. That's an order.
I'm muting it because the conversation is, I heard it before. So these are the parents, and then just outside there's this cube. So again, I'm not a big Star Trek fan. I've just discovered it. It's not something that I grew up on. It's not something like I have friends that we have conversations. There's not even a philosophy like group that I know of to speak of on this. What they think it is, if it was something that was trend, I think it has like a cult following. But again, I wasn't part of that. So I don't know how they speak on it, how they expand on it. I In the series of rooms that I've been in, it has not included any of that. Um, but it's Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza, it's Earth, Solar System, Milky Way, Universe, Galaxies Broken. Um, it's Bayside Station, Bayside, New York, 11361. And I'm not wearing it, but I reference this particular hat. I also put on that piece with the National Guard thing, I put up to make sure it stays personalized in my series of whatever. One of the tillis that I put up there, or the tiles that I put up there, was one of my real x-rays of my ankle at the moment that has plates and screws. That's a new injury that I sustained. So it's Star 1978, Star 8378, Nicole Cattaruzza.